Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to iSlam Podcast, week number 2 recap. I'm your host, Arif Khan. Always a pleasure to have everyone here. And speaking of everyone, let's get our panelists in today. First of all, my partner in crime, Mr. Maju.
Assalamu alaikum.
How you doing?
I'm good. I gotta be dressed up for today. I don't know why.
Shirt with a collar. Wow. Speaking of royalty, here's our own commissioner, Mr. Habibi.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. How are you?
Welcome, sir, bro. How's it going?
Alhamdulillah. I just noticed, Maji, you are kind of overdressed for this, I guess.
One guy's smoking up shisha. It's like all that fog there.
Hold on. Let me do up my top button. Now it's professional.
Now you look like a cholo.
You guys got to separate you two.
Dude, we are the grumpy old men when we're sitting by watching games and just talking a little. Hey, youth, come here. Who's your dad? What's your dad's name?
You and I were like trolling some people a couple of seasons ago. I think we scared off some of the kiddos. The uncle. All right, so who's on the chat here? I don't see anyone.
No one's on chat. People are just slowly trickling in. But come on, guys.
Well, there's a preseason Leaf game on, so I don't know if they're watching that.
Oh my god. Let's see what that Leaf score is right now.
Why even bother?
It's preseason.
Because I follow the Red Wings to an extent. So like I'm a member of the Daud Siamber, the DC fan page. He's a Detroit Red Wings fan, so am I. So you know.
Oh, we got Hamza. Assalamualaikum, Hamza.
Yes, Bhagat. What's going on, bro? Or is it Bangat?
Hamza B. Hamzab. Cool. All right. Well, let's just get into it, and people will join as they come in.
Yeah.
I think because we've been starting on time, people are used to just thinking, oh, they're going to start at 10 past, 15 past. True, it happens sometimes, but for the most part, we try to keep things punctual.
I think it's the right thing to do.
Yes. We're gonna start on time regardless. Whereas we're not gonna make it into a desi wedding, or have to wait 2 hours. All right, let's go. So week 2 preview. So last week, the first game of the night was Iman versus Ihsan, and this ended up with a 3-1 win for Team Red. And we had some. First and second star were from Team Red Ihsan, Mr. DC himself, Daoud, as well as Ahmed Mobeen, who got a goal, I believe, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Bilal as third. So I think, Habibi, you were obviously in the game, so maybe I'll throw it to you.
Yeah. It was a good game, and I think we touched upon Team Hassan a little bit in terms of like what they have to offer and that that stifling defense that they have, and with Hamza in the net.
Yeah.
They actually did exactly that. Their defense was really hard to penetrate. They had most of their personnel there. Hamza did great for them in net. I know that we were missing our goalie as well. Bilal was actually sick that day, and Ali Khwaja actually he played solid for us in that. I think if Ali was not there, not to say that Bilal wouldn't have done the same thing, but they had a lot of opportunities. It could have been a lot worse than it was. But again, I think it's no panic button for our team. I think it's not time to panic for a minute. I think what Junaid and Bilal and what our GM contingency has done with the team. I think they do have the right personnel to get us there, and I think Adam as well. I don't think it's time for to panic or anything like that. I just thought Hassan played a little bit better than us. We didn't capitalize in terms of what we needed to do, which was speed, but we were also missing players as well. But we played well, and you are correct. Ahmed Mobeen did score a goal. It was a quite pivotal goal. I think it was the second goal of the game, and it kind of gave them the momentum to kind of get to where they needed to be. But I can't take away anything from Hassan. I mean, they did what they needed to do, and they actually played better. So
I was talking to Adam on your team after, and he was saying that he's just getting back into hockey. He feels that his timing is off. He needs to get back into shape. So he promised that he would carry the team more next week. So tomorrow. So let's see if this is a Mark Messier type promise or not. But I know he's going to be ready to go.
Well, the only thing that he's carrying is all those plates on the squat rack that he's doing. I mean, he was telling me he was squatting like over 200, 300 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, but anyways, mashallah. I mean, when you're that age and you can do it, just do it. But
squat, I have a hard time squatting on the toilet, man. Anyways, I digress. Maju, what do you think?
So, just a quick recap for anyone who missed it, right? So, Ihsan actually maintained most of the possession. Unfortunately, Purple, like Iman was still trying to get into it, like you said, Habibi. And a lot of, you could see that a lot of players are still trying to get back into the game, right? Unfortunately, we had one brother on Iman. I'm not going to name names, but kind of puking at the end of the game. We had Adam still trying to find his legs. He was playing forward. Yeah. So that also kind of throws off your team when Adam Ahmed should be playing D, because that's his position to play, right? But Ihsan was just owning possession. Ihsan had Iman pinned in their zone quite a bit to the state of like 26 shots compared to 15 shots. Wow. Yeah. So that in itself is just Ali Khawaja just did his job and then some. He was making some phenomenal saves. There were, Hamoudi scored the first one for Red. Then Iman then Ahmed Mobeen scored to make it 2-0. Then Bilal Mohideen fought back and made it 2-1. So just a very tight game, and again, kind of lost in the last little bit of the game. But again, I told you, Rizal, what Habibi saying. Don't hold. No one needs to start, throwing up the warning signs and start, calling in the reinforcements. There's no reason for that.
It's the second game of the season, right? So
yeah. And that being said, one bright spot Iman really has is Mohamed Saleh, number 9. This guy, big, tall guy, strong on the ball. I honestly don't know what round he went, but he is one of those like sleeper guys that don't wait up for him. Don't even second guess him. You got to be on him because he will burn you.
Yeah, he went in the 3rd round.
Right.
Yeah, he looks really good for that team. So.
All right. Riaz also saying Saleh is very underrated.
Absolutely.
Yep.
True. All right. So the second game of the night was Yakin versus Haya, and this was going to, last week we had talked about this is going to be maybe even a marquee game because it's two really good teams. But based on the score, it looks like Yakin kind of rolled them, right? And although I don't think that was necessarily the case, but anyways, Maz and Omer first 2 stars, and then Suf he was a 3rd star here.
So I got to watch a part of this game, and just what you see is what you get. Like I totally misjudged this game. I thought Haya was going to be able to really slow down the Yakin offense, and that was not the case. Yakin just maintained possession, just had the game on their stick the entirety of it. Poor Fahad. Their goalie, he ended up losing his shutout with with just a few minutes left in the game. Yeah. So that like 3 minutes 14 seconds left in the game. So that's disappointing for a goalie. Shots were pretty even, 13 and 16. So that's still kind of a shocker. But Yakin definitely knew just having some of the guys from last season, having that chemistry from the get-go. They played really well. And even just a few other bright spots, like we already said, Abdallah. Yeah. It's Abdullah. Okay, sorry. He was definitely a bright spot, and I had his name already typed in my phone before I even saw the score sheet, and I'm like, oh dang, this guy got 2nd star. So
with him, I mean, we had talked about him that a lot of people saw him in pickup and stuff, and he was definitely one of the best later round picks. He's become a key component of that team. And correct me if I'm wrong, did Haya have Ali Khawaja nets as well?
Yes. Yeah. So Khalid Mufti had a family emergency he couldn't make. So Ali Khawaja played a full second game.
Yeah, it's one of those things actually we talked about last week, Maju, where Fahad might get kind of bored in that. So I don't know if that was. I mean, you did say that the shots on goal were pretty much even, but
Yeah.
I mean, with that goal in the late in the last last part of the game, probably kind of he needed to wake up a little bit, maybe. I guess I don't know.
And Mads played sensational. I mean, he was just dominant in this game from what I saw at least. So I mean, that's what we expect out of him, and I think he's already off to a really, really good start this season. So
Mashallah.
he's I think playing with Wakar and Aftab, is it? Yeah, Aftab, right? I think they're on the same line. Yeah, that's looking more and more like a very scary team right there.
Just a couple of guys that I want to point out that just at least just kind of resonated with me. I didn't get a chance to unfortunately see the full game because I had to change. Mm-hmm. But 76 Gray and 39 Gray. So 76 is Muhammad Raza Kareem, mm-hmm. and 39 Gray is Adam Sheikh. Mm. So both of these guys, just right from the get-go, just hustling, playing hard, running down the ball, maintaining some sort of possession. On Gray as well. Like, these guys just stood out immediately for me. So I'm going to try to get a better feed on them next, but I'm hoping for some good things because they were doing the right stuff, even though White was dominating.
Yeah,
and the one thing.
Thanks for correcting us. It's Altaf. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to point out with Haya too. They're kind of missing their first round pick for the first two games, so I don't think it's any time for them to panic as well. Yeah. I think things will definitely turn around for them, inshallah, for sure.
One comment that did pass on the side, because I was standing on the side and watching, and a couple of people said it in different ways, but the quote of the day was basically the Haya hustle is hosed. So
I wouldn't count them out yet. I mean, they still got.
That's what I told the brother. I'm like, I don't know if you can count out a Lukman team, but in this game they definitely looked flat, right? That Haya, that at least the hustle that we're used to, didn't seem to be there in place. So we'll see what happens there. All right, moving on to the third game of the night, and this is one that Maju and I were in, and this ended up with a 3-1 win for Sabr over our team Rida. And as you can see,
it's yellow.
It's all yellow, right? Yeah. So Maju, you were obviously in nets. Why don't we start with you?
Ah, man, don't even get me started. So, it was a good first few minutes where Rida was able to go up early 1-0 with Mohib, kind of just finding that ball and lighting the net. But the rest of it was just, I'm just going to be completely honest here. Rida's goalie sucked. Like, Maju needs to be better. I gotta do myself in the third person. Just again, that unbiased opinion, right? A breakaway I should have had. Fair enough, whatever. You can say, it's a breakaway, whatever. But and then Omar Hussein was able to get a couple more. Just one was through a screen, another one was from kind of behind the side of the net. He was able to just tuck it. So those simple goals can't go in, right? To give a team a shot, the goalie needs to be better. Like, I should have covered that side and let my D-man cover. I think part of it is trying to get used to my team, understanding how everyone plays, but part of it is just I didn't play well. Rida really tried to fight back, played hard, tried to hustle, really keep peppering Riaz Hussein, who's the Sabr goalie. But wow, oh wow, he stood tall. He just trying to look at my sheet, but 22 shots on him, and he stood tall. He had a shutout the first game. Now, he's able to keep them off.
So I felt that we were a little disorganized at some points, and we gave up the ball on all three goals. We kind of just gave it up in the neutral zone or on the blue line, and we paid. But if you take out the goals, as a team, Rida, we actually played pretty well. There were a lot of sequences where our first line was completely dominant. We were just in their zone the whole time. And as you mentioned, if it wasn't for Mr. Riaz Hussein, this game would have been a different score.
You're right. With 22 shots on net, I mean, I didn't watch Yeah, and you're right. I mean, the story tells it. I mean, if you're telling me that Riaz did stop 22 shots,
Yeah.
and you on the committee are saying that you guys played a very good game, then you're absolutely right. Then if it
Yeah.
wasn't for Riaz Hussein doing what he did, then the game would have been ultimately different. But again, I think for Rid, I think it's the same thing. I don't
Mhm.
think it's time, to hit the panic button or anything like that. I think you guys were touted to definitely be one of the better teams this season. So it's just one of those games where it's
Just in
goaltending. It's just goaltending.
goaltending. Well, I mean, you got to give them credit. They also played well in front of
Yeah,
Riaz,
yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah,
Riaz
yeah.
made the big saves when he needed to. Now, on one negative thing for Rida also, to add insult to injury, literally, in the last 30 seconds, Ajmal got into a little tangle with Omar Asawi behind the net, and Ajmal got injured pretty badly. I think he has a ankle sprain or high ankle sprain. Yeah, he was pretty much out for the rest of the night. He had to actually be assisted out of the arena by some of the other brothers. And I know we play in another league. He wasn't available for that either, and I think he's not available tomorrow either. So we're hoping that he makes
Yeah,
a
inshallah,
yeah,
speedy recovery for him for sure.
yeah, yeah. So hate to see
So
it, and he's such an important piece in our team, right?
He's the GM.
just
Mhm.
just on that note, it was really nice to see like brothers coming together to help each other out, right? Naeem Shah, yet again, he's helped out somebody else. Week one, him and Wasim Kagzi were helping another brother whose tire was he had a flat tire. They were helping him change it.
Mhm.
This game, when Ajmal got injured, we saw sorry, I'm just trying to find names because I'm trying to get everyone's name right. But we had Naeem Shah, who basically gave his foot brace to Ajmal, so at least he could walk and he could try to do something. And on our team, we have Doc, Salman Bhatti. That's who it is. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And he was trying to. He was trying to help him at least to make sure assess the foot,
Yeah,
and then we also had Maz who came by
Mazda.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, Ajmal had pretty good medical attention, right? He had
yeah.
a doctor in training as well as a foot specialist. So I mean, if you're gonna get hurt on your feet,
That's the game to do it in, right?
But alhamdulillah, just to see everyone come together, right? That's the biggest thing. That is to me brotherhood right there.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, so I guess this was the last game of
The
the night.
last game, yeah.
The last game of the night was Taqwa versus Ikhlas, and everyone was looking forward to seeing a complete Taqwa team because in game one, obviously, they were missing a lot of people, and from the looks of it, they didn't disappoint. It was a 2-1 game. I had already gone by that time, so I don't know, Majid. Maybe you can fill us in a little bit here. What happened?
Yeah. So unfortunately for Green, Badger was not available. That's right off the bat. But Shiraz stepped in, and we know Shiraz. Great brother. He knows how to play. He's an amazing goalie. Now Taqwa, I was only able to come out after the first half. I was changing, but it was a close game. It was 1-1 after the first. Now
Mhm.
the shots, believe it or not, 32-13 for Taqwa for
Wow.
Black.
Wow.
And from what I heard from some of the players, or it's just Shiraz was on his head.
Mhm.
Some of these saves he had no business making, but it was just and classic Shiraz. He's just jumping left, right, and center, just very unorthodox, but making the saves. And
He was
the
putting
only time,
some mustard on some of those saves too.
and the only thing that really got Black up there was like Josefa Panchbaya scored
Yeah.
with 5 minutes to go, and that's it. Like, how do you keep a team like that off the scoreboard, right? Ikhlas played a good game, but at the end of the day, it was Shiraz who stood on his head,
Yeah.
right? And we have to give respect to the man who just keeps showing up when called upon and just plays
And
lights
it's
out.
unfortunate you don't see him in the stars, right? Because that's can't really blame the rest for this, but this is where we want to highlight people who did stuff above and beyond what the score sheet shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it speaks to the goaltending of the entire night. I mean, pretty much every game that we've talked about, from week two was pretty much outstanding goaltenders from all 8 teams. So I mean, it's really good to see that the goalies are stepping up, and we're not relying too many on
Mhm.
the star players and stuff like that. So it's great to
Yep.
see that Shiraz did that actually, because 22 shots. You said 22 to 13.
No,
Oh, no.
32.
Wow, mashallah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
impressive. That's impressive.
that's impressive. Yeah, so still touted a better than 900 save percentage. Now that being said, one thing that I did want to see from Iclas was their power play working. At the end, they had a power play for the very last few, like a minute and a half, and of course, who was in the thick of it to draw the penalty? Tayyab. Like
Mm.
this man is a genius when it comes to just drawing the penalties. So anyone playing green next week, and we'll see the matchup, but make sure you don't let Tayyab get to you, right? He knows what to do, but again, just very well within the rules. But it was just disappointing to see Iclas couldn't get their power play working in the last minute to tie it up.
Was RC there?
I believe he was.
Okay.
Okay. So, speaking of, top performances, there were a couple of goalies played really well, but the player of the week goes to none other than Mr. Omar Hossein. There's actually a typo here. He didn't get 2 goals, 3 assists. He got 2 goals, I think, or 3 points.
Two goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes. Obviously, like the refs see the games more than any of us. They're there. They see. Well, they ref the game, so they pretty much are involved in pretty much everything that happens through the game. But 2 goals, and with the impressive play that Omar did in terms of like bringing his team to a victory against a very good, strong Grida team, I think it goes without say that it's well deserved. And obviously, we'd like to thank Hupo for sponsoring the Player of the Week, and of course, the Player of the Week this week is none other than Omar Hussein for sure. Well deserved.
Yeah, played really well. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying it's disappointing because I even said I have to watch out for him, and then he did exactly what I thought he would.
Actually, you did call that last week. Yeah, you did.
He's that tricksty. All right. So some news here. There's a wave alert that just came through. Even I just heard about it just before the podcast myself, and this is pretty big news, right? Because you have one person that's leaving. So this is on Team Haya, and for I guess maybe how you can tell us a bit more. But it looks like this is his. Man, I was looking forward to playing some other guy this season so I could play that tune more often. But
I don't know what that song is, but every time I hear it, it sounds like one of those crying songs. But I think the song is well fitting because Sodergaard, due to personal reasons, he's withdrawn from the league. So we wish him well in whatever adversities that he has to go through. But of course, with every departure, there's obviously an arrival of a bright star in Hamza Ali.
Yeah.
Hamza's no stranger to the league. He's been with us ever since long time ago. And Maju and Arif, you were talking about grumpy old men and who your father is. His father was actually one of those players that used to play with us as well.
I used to play with him.
Yeah, so he used to play with us as well. But Hamza is, like I said, we were talking earlier about Haya, and there's no need for them to panic in terms of where they are in the standings. Sodergaard was actually their first round pick, and not having him for the first two games obviously did have an impact.
Yeah.
So obviously the management team on Haya has decided that it's better off to replace him, and they've Hamza went through the waiver process in terms of the GMs where they have the option to to claim him. All the GMs have passed, and what that means is that Hamza goes to Haya. So from a perspective of what we were talking earlier about Haya, I think it will make a change on the personnel team for Haya. I think it'll give them that extra pep that they probably didn't have in the first 2 games. And RF, to your point about that Haya hustle, I think they'll definitely have that next game. I think the 2 players in terms of like the parity between Yusuf Sodergaard and Hamza Ali, they're very similar. But again, putting aside the caliber of the player, it's the rounds that they were picked. Sodergaard was picked in the first round. Hamza Ali would have easily gone in the first round if he was in this draft as well.
So let me put this to you, Maju. They're very similar type of players, very speedy. They've played on the same teams in Salam Cup before. So I think without taking anything away from Yusuf, Hamza is a slight bit of an upgrade. He is younger. He is still faster. So I think there's a bit of a. Well, I mean, the biggest positive is having him show up versus a player
Yeah.
who can't. Right. So that's one.
Yeah.
Now, Maju, let me ask you this. Hamza is well known to always be paired up with our buddy DC, Daoud, right?
He just commented why he's wearing the red jersey.
Right, and this is not a GM, therefore they're eligible to be traded. Do you foresee any kind of moves that DC will be trying to do to get his buddy Hamza on his team?
Well, he could have
I
claimed him.
don't see.
he could have actually claimed him, but I mean,
He has to give up something big right off the bat.
Yeah,
right?
but yeah. So who was their first pick? I'm just trying to look at that. Was it Hamoud?
Hamoudi.
Yeah. So they would have to give up Hamoud for Hamza, and I don't think they want to lose that size. So I honestly don't see that trade happening unless it's going to be something really wheeling and dealing, and it's going to be a package deal. But I don't know. For me, I agree that I think Hamza is a bit of an upgrade. When facing both of these players, I don't want Yusuf to be on a breakaway. With Hamza, he's deadlier from the perimeter. He's got a deadlier release. He can do a lot of little things that are just those intangibles. But with Yusuf, he's again like a tic-tac-toe player, very fast, very agile. On a breakaway, I don't really want to face Sodagar. He's just I don't know what it is. He just has something.
Yusuf, I think Yusuf has a little bit more grit and sandpaper to him, whereas Hamza has a lot more finesse. So take what it is. But either way, it's great to have Hamza back. We missed him, and he's one of the nicest brothers you'll meet. So great job. We're gonna miss Yusuf for sure, but life goes on.
How can you miss a guy that never showed up? I'm kidding, Yusuf. I wish you all the best, brother.
Sorry, Habibi, you want to say something?
No, I was just saying, like, just going back on the parity of the two players. I mean, you raised a good point about having a player versus not having a player show up. I mean, with the addition of Hamza, I mean, Haya they will definitely get better. They are better. The unfortunate part is, we're playing him tomorrow, and we could talk about that later. But at the end of the day, like, I think the two players are equitable. They both bring pretty much the same caliber of play to the table. Sodagar obviously being a little bit more veteran, more gritty. Yeah. But Hamza, man, oh man, that guy is just a burst of speed. I mean, you can't. Yeah. I mean, with Haya, he'll fit extremely well in that team.
Like I'm thinking about Hamza and Souf on the same line. Good luck, Maju. Well, actually, you're on my team, so good luck.
We'll find out.
Awesome. All right, so let's move on to a quick summary of what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So looks like the first game is going to be Iman and Haya. So Habibi, you'll get to get up.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's like I said. I think for this game, I mean, both teams are 0-2. So obviously both teams have something to prove. I think with the upgrade that Haya has done, it'll obviously bring a different spectrum in terms of what Haya brings to the table. But again, I think everyone on Iman has extreme confidence in the leadership team that Iman has. I don't think it's time to panic for Iman. I think Iman has the right players in place. Yeah. I don't think we have anything to worry about. And Maji, you touched on this earlier too. With the players that we've got in terms of the bright, Mohamed Salah in terms of Kouiat, he is definitely underrated. But man, he's such a great talent. And of course, with our top line with Junaid and Adam and Bilal. I mean, and of course, we're getting most of our guys back tomorrow too. So I think this game will definitely be an even game. I don't know where to go, but I think it's definitely going to be a game of who wants it more. Both goalies are great on both teams. We both have the personnel, of course, with Haya. With their addition, I think it'll make them slightly better. But I think with the speed that we have, I still think that that might be an advantage that Iman might have over Haya. But again, I think it'll come down to who wants it more.
For sure.
It's definitely going to be the cohesion factor, right? Can Iman come together early on? Again, long season, it's still very early on, but can they find that little factor to say, okay, we're going to be playing this way, this is how we're doing, and everyone's starting to click? Or will Haya get there first, right? They've been having some challenges, again, with clicking, once that Suf and Hamza and Akib line gets going, they're going to be
they'll
one
be
of the tough lines to beat. But who gets going faster? That's going to be the key remark of this game. Is just who's going to be able to piece it together and start pocketing them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next game, Habibi, maybe you want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for the game day reviews.
Yeah. So Kadi, they're a group that do kind of vacation rentals in terms of they have cottages and stuff like that. They kind of rent out to to the Muslim community and other communities that get involved. So we're happy to have them to sponsor our game day sponsorship in terms of the graphic of the game day schedules and stuff like that. So they're a wonderful group of guys. They've been with us for almost a full year now. They do sponsorship in other Muslim, sport community as well. So we're great to have them on board, and of course, having them as the sponsor for for the game day in terms of like the schedule. It's good to have them sponsor
No,
the
absolutely.
game day.
All right, game 2. This is where Maju and I step in. We play against Taqwa. So I know, Maju, in our group chat, you see we have quite a few people missing, including potentially Ajmal, who's still nursing that injury. Not the best time to be going up against potentially a very dominant team in Taqwa. I personally think that Yakin right now has shown the most offensive prowess, but Taqwa, with their lineup, they just need a couple of games to warm up, and I hope it doesn't happen to us tomorrow.
Well, the funny thing with Taqwa is their most consistent player right now is actually Faisal Mahmoud. He's been getting, I think, one goal a game, or at least a point a game. Yeah, definitely. I think we have our work cut out, right? It's really going to put a... What the heck was that?
That's Faisal.
I'm a fun guy.
Oh my god. I think now you got me going. So I think it's going to be we got to focus on our defense. I have to make those saves. We're going to be trapped in our zone from time to time, considering we're missing some piece guys. But our keys of the game is keep it simple, break it out, right? Don't. Well, we have to find a way to keep a lot of the possession, right? So that's really what it is. We'll see if Taqwa shows up and which Taqwa shows up, right? Who's missing, who's not, because any given Friday, anyone could be missing for whatever reason. And we all know that Huzaifa Panchmaya has new curfew rules to adhere to. Mashallah, he just got married, so so those curfew rules could be heavy. But I'm hoping maybe he's at the Dawat tomorrow. Who knows?
But on paper, this is a key marquee game, though. I mean, on paper, looking at these two teams, I mean, not looking at who's missing and who's coming and who's not showing up, but just looking at it for on its face value, like in terms of like the way the two teams are drafted, very well drafted teams. You got great players on both teams. And regardless of who's playing, I still think it's probably the marquee game of the night for sure.
Yep. All right. Game 3 will be, inshallah, Yakin versus Ihsan, which is white versus red. Yakin looks dominant, right? They look very, very dominant. Maz is really lighting it up. They're just firing on all cylinders, and it's only 2 games into the season. What does Ihsan have to do, Maju, in terms of trying to contain such a dominant Yakin team?
I honestly don't know what I have against Yakin, but no. So right now we have a very strong, dominant offense in Yakin against a defensive powerhouse in Ihsan. So again, I said it last week. I said defense wins championships. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I think both teams on paper are very strong. So I actually think this might be the marquee game. It's going to be very exciting to watch. It could be super high scoring, or it could just be a tic-tac, like just a back and forth, shoot 'em up game.
I think goalies will have to make the difference here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're looking at Fahad Mohammed for white, and for red it is Hamza Butt. Mm-hmm. Now, is Hamza showing up?
He's an Umrah.
I think he's an Umrah. Yeah. So
you see Ali again for his 4th game in 3 weeks.
I think that's not possible. I think there's a new rule that might be coming in. I was hearing some rumblings, but I don't know if he's going to be able to play a fourth one just yet. I think we're trying to get all the other goalies involved, so they might have to go through the list. But again, it's going to be a roulette wheel to say who, last minute, who can show up and who's able to play.
Yeah. Habibi, what's your thoughts on this one?
No, I think Maji, you nailed it right on the thing, and Arif, to your point too. Like, you got Yakin with an offensive prowess that they have, with a stifling defense that Hassan has. But Maji, I agree with you. Actually, I think defense does win games, but it also wins championships as well. I think, if Hassan plays the way they were designed to play, which is containing an offensive prowess like Yakin, I think Hassan should be fine. I mean, they don't have, in my opinion, as strong as an offense as Yakin, but they still have an offense, obviously. But I think with the personnel that they have in the back end, with just I would just go down the list, like in terms of the defensemen that they have with with Zaidi and Gagzi and like Farouk and Naeem, and it's just, the list goes on in terms of, and Hamoudi can play D as well, like in terms of like the type of players that they have on D. But I don't know who they're going to have in net, but I mean, if they just play the way Dawoud designed them to play, I think they should be fine.
And we talk a lot about Ihsan having a really strong D, which they do. Their defensive core is solid. But we also don't give enough credit to some of the other players who, for example, like Kesentini and even Daoud. We think of them as offensively gifted players, which they are. However, they also play really good defense. They come back and back check and whatnot. So do a lot of their other players, right? So I think this is a team that is not just defensively solid from the blue line, but they have an overall defense first mentality to their team.
Yeah, and that's Dawoud. That's a DC type of game. I mean, it's kind of that two-way style play. I mean, all their players, including Kesatini, Dawoud, and Hamoudi, they all have that that type of agility in terms of playing forward and back. But again, it doesn't hurt by having that stifling defense as well. So when you have all that, it's definitely a good recipe for a good team for sure.
Right. I think the line threes may make a big difference. I know Yakin last week was missing Multani, Zakaria Ali, and Hashim Chaudhry. So and Abbas Amershi. So that's not even line three right there. But they were missing big guys. So we may not have seen them at their full firepower either. But that being said, Ihsan does have Bajpaya, Abdulaziz Khan as their third line, and they're by means they're not actually like third line players, right? They're still developing, they're still hustling, they're still going hard at it. So
they call themselves the pest line. I was talking.
Every team's got a pest line, yeah. Every team's got a pest line.
But I think they have the best pest line with Mobeen and Zahid. Sorry, they're just such tremendous forecheckers. It's hard to contain them. All right, so the last game of the night is Ikhlas versus Sabr.
Family versus family, I think this one is, right?
There we go. You know what? Maju, what's your thoughts on this one?
Is this not also Greenberg versus Greenberg, or
hey, family versus family?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be another very closely touted game,
personal.
Right? We have personal. Personal. Now they're just going to hug out on the boards, or are they actually going to play physical? Who knows? Both, I believe, were missing. Riyadh played last game, but Ikhlas was missing their goalie. So it really could go either way. I think Riyadh he's touting a 0.5 goals against average right now, and so just for that simple fact, and Ihsan hasn't been able to score in bunches just yet.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just by the slightest of margin, I'm going to give it to Sabr. I really don't know what else. Like they're we have RC, we have Tayyab, we have Yahya, YY Ingar, we got MYC. Like we have good guys on that, but then respectively on Sabr, we have the GMs, Zaid Khaler. Like we have strong teams on both ends. I think it's just going to be a very tight game across the board.
So Habibi, you know how you were saying that family versus family, are they going to hug it out? Sometimes it's the opposite because it's family, because it's
That's
friends.
what I was saying. It's going to
No,
be personal.
You can go hard into the boards. What do you think? Which one is it going to be?
I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Maj. I think Ikhlas has something to prove here. I mean,
Mm,
I think they're 0-2 as well, right? And I think they're not an 0-2 team. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
And if there's any time to shine, it's against your own family, right? I mean, if anyone knows you well, it's your own boys, right? So
And they lost against Rida and Takwa, who arguably two pretty good teams, right? So
yeah. So I think I'm going to give the edge again, Maji, you're absolutely right. It could literally go either way, but I just think the slight edge on this one, Ikhlas, because I think they have that edge in terms of like something to prove, because I don't think their record shows what they're capable of doing. So I'm going to give the edge on this one to Ikhlas. Again, it could be a tale of the goalies on as well on this one, but I think this game will be a little bit personal.
Yep. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our show today. Maju, why don't we give you the last word here? What do you want to say for tomorrow?
Oh man, yeah, game 2 and 3 are just going to be very good and fun to watch and play in. I really don't know what else to say. I just know I got to get my head into the game earlier and be more productive than I have been. But on both those factors, like on that fact, regardless, I think every single game this week is just going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
So get your popcorn ready, Habibi. Maybe you can bring a popcorn maker or something. That'll be fun. or if we can bring a shisha indoors. By the way, no smoking, nothing is allowed indoors. No shisha, no vape. So don't bring it indoors, guys. But plan to stick around the whole night.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Habibi.
Thank you, my guys. Always a pleasure. Assalamu alaikum.
Guys.